Good idea. I think I'm just going to give it one or two more minutes for people to join. I was wondering if you want to, if Danielle, can you put the link to the collaboration notes in the chat? We may want to do that a couple times. Thank you. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started because the first part, just the intro, is something that I think, you know, if people are still joining, it's not a big deal. So just welcome everybody to the Research Data Management and Engineering Interest Group session. We're looking forward to having some great presentations today and discussion with you. And you could see in the chat, there's a link to collaboration notes, so feel free to share your thoughts during, throughout the session there. Just a recap of the agenda. We want to talk just briefly, welcome you today, of course, and to let you know that we're seeking interest group co-chair participation. We have one new member with us today. Kevin Logan has joined as a co-chair to this interest group. So it's now myself, Daniela, and Logan, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. And then we have 4 presentations, and our topic is metrics and FAIR for engineering data. As you see, there's some really good speakers. I'm looking forward to these talks. So that's basically the first half. And then the second half, we're going to have a discussion to reflect on the presentations and those topical areas. And we'll have, we're going to be using MentiMeter just to break it up a little bit and get some inputs from the audience. And then we also would like to discuss some of the related engineering networks, like the regional engineering data networks that are going on. And then we'll talk about next steps for the interest group toward the end. So a little bit of a repeat. And also thank you to our outgoing chairs, Paula and Nicholas, for supporting this interest group for a number of years. This interest group started in, I said virtual plenary, but it really is just plenary 12. And then in our last plenary, we had a lot of really good talks as well. And then one in particular was, we heard this, I think it was from Rainer, correct, Daniela? This report out on a new regional network called the National Research Data Infrastructure for Engineering Sciences. And some of us are involved in that. So we're looking forward to, that's an example of a regional engineering network. It's supported out of Germany. So we would like to talk a little bit more about that in our discussion, and also find out about other organizations like that that you may be aware of. We also want to make sure we're coordinating with other groups in the RDA. So that includes some examples here. The discipline-specific guidance for DMP's working group. Daniela is going to be able to report out in her presentation on some of the activity there. And we've had some joint sessions and earlier plenaries, not this one, but we would like to continue to seek if there's overlap and intersections that you are aware of with other working groups or interest groups, please make sure you share and bring that to our attention, because we would like to make sure that we're communicating as broadly as possible with our RDA community. And okay, obviously the one on fair metrics and quality assurance, which you'll hear more about today. And then we also have a poll, a MentiMeter poll we're going to talk about at the end. So I don't want to, since we have a lot to do with our presentations, I will keep this short. And I think we're going to just start off with a MentiMeter activity, which I will turn over to Daniela, which it's just some early survey of our attendees, so we can find out where you guys are coming from. So there's a link to that MentiMeter there, and
you have
I'll leave
to stop screen sharing.
I will. I'm going to stop. I did. I stopped screen sharing. And so now we can go to the MentiMeter.
All right. Here we go. Yes, so welcome also from my side to this session. And yeah, before we start with the presentation, we would really like to get to know a bit about you. And the first question is a fun question. So what is your favorite type of sweets? And there is chocolate at the moment. Only chocolate. Only chocolate. Chocolate. Okay. Nothing more. Only chocolate. Okay. So, oh no. So one is having a sour sweets. Okay. But chocolate. Chocolate is the dominant part here. And one also like fruits. Perfect. Really healthy. But chocolate is the winner. Okay, great. Then the second one. So what country are you from? So where are you joining now from our session? Germany, Sweden, oh, UK, US. Okay, we have a big audience from the US, from Germany, also some from Sweden and UK, so welcome. And what is your background? So are you an engineer or a researcher from a different discipline, or an RDM support, tool provider, or other? Okay, we have a lot of engineers with us. Also RDM support. Okay, and two others. So what does other means? Do the ones like to speak out? What is other?
Hi, my name is Guo Peng, and I'm from Earth Science discipline, and I'm a climate scientist and scientific data store.
Nice.
Thank you. Okay, nice. We have a lot of engineers with us. Really perfect. Great. So the next question. So have you heard about the NFTI for Engineering Consortium? Yes, because you attended the last session, or you have heard about it anywhere, or no? See, no one attended our last session, Gretchen. It was so great. Okay, but it's nice to have you here already. Perfect. And the last question on the first round on the Mentimeter is, which tools do you use for quality assurance?
Sorry, question. What do you mean by quality assurance? Is it data quality assurance or metadata quality assurance? Sorry for overthinking it.
No problem, it's up to you.
Okay.
Custom code, yeah. Otherwise, maybe, so we will leave the Menti open, and maybe you will get some ideas during the presentation.
Excel, there we go.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. I think I will leave the Menti open, so we will also come back later to the Menti, and we will start with our first speaker. So he's one of the new co-chairs at this group. So it's Kevin Logan, and he will present us the new engineering journal, Ingrid. So Kevin, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so thank you very much. And thank you also for this very short notice opportunity of joining the plenary and also to present here. I'm going to be talking about the journal Ingrid, Fair Data Management and Engineering Sciences, which I'm working on founding at the Chair of Fluid Systems in TU Darmstadt. And Ingrid is driven from within the consortium NFTI for oops, sorry, that was the wrong one. That's right, there we go. It was born from within that consortium NFTI for ING, which was also asked about in the Mentimeter just now, and hence the name. And the subject that it treats is data management and engineering sciences and all activities around that, but it has itself also the ambition of being a fair journal itself. To give you an idea where we stand currently, the consortium NFTI for ING was initiated in October 2017. A proposal for funding was submitted and granted, and the project started just over a year ago. And now, in September, we officially announced the journal and are currently working towards constituting the editorial board. And we're hoping, this is a bit of an ambitious goal, to release a call for papers at the beginning of next year and maybe also get a first issue. We think that this journal is really important to further scientific discussion on the subject of data management, where we really saw a gap so far, but it should also serve to give, so it should not just be a platform, it should also give credit to those activities in which researchers engage currently, but are not credited in the same way as for their more disciplinary focused work. The journal has currently mainly a really strong national network from due to the consortium NFTI for ING, but we're also expanding and hoping to grow the international network. And it's driven by the communities of NFTI for ING, which are the engineering sciences in all their diversity, mechanical, electrical, civil, computational, and also material sciences. But we're not just looking at academic research, but also non-academic research and hoping to engage with industry and services. And since the engineering sciences are really embedded in society as a whole, humanities, law, economics, and management also play an important role. And not least the current main drivers of data management activities, libraries and computing centers. And from this list of addressees, we've derived a list of topics, which are data literacy from the beginning of engineering education, then more administrative subjects like data infrastructure and governance, then the economics and invoked ethical aspects involving data, but a strong focus is also on the actual technological solutions and data sets and data management software. When we're building this FAIR journal, we thought up a few building blocks, and I'm going to talk through some of them now for a bit. The first three here are open source publishing platform, preprint server, and open review, and how they work together. I'm going to show you now. Ingrid really strongly cooperates with the University Library at TU Darmstadt, which is a member of the Open Library of Humanities, a charitable organization focused on promoting open access self-published journals. And for this purpose, it has developed Janeway, which is content management and editorial open source software developed in the open with very readable code, open license, and with a strong and motivated team of developers. And because of these principles, they correlate well with Ingrid. That's why Ingrid will run on Janeway. And they some of the new ideas that we brought in, which were also implemented by the developers in Janeway, was to incorporate the preprint server within the normal journal website. And the way preprint servers work, I guess, is known. After an initial check, the submissions will become immediately available, and we're hoping to solicit comments from the community to further the scientific discussion. Like, this is one of the means. And it's not just the preprint server, though. It also works with the first round of peer review, where referees also comment on the preprint, and the referee comments are visible to all the readers, though the comments are anonymized, obviously, as a single blind peer review. And the authors are requested to respond to those referee comments, after which they will submit the manuscript, the revised manuscript, and after further check, and if accepted, the manuscript will be published as a full publication on its own individual article page, with a link back to the preprint and the comments, so that the genesis of this publication is transparent to the interested reader. There are also external links, and to explain these, I will go into details about two further building blocks: the transparent submissions and link metadata. So the way we conceptualize publications or submissions is that they're not just manuscripts, but also data sets and software play an equally important part, so that, say, if you're submitting a best practice for data management, you should also provide example data and code snippets, so that this can be exercised or tried out. And this is then where the manuscript is the main focus, but we can also turn this triangle on the other side and think of the data set itself being the primary focus of the submission. And that's where we're emancipating these from the data sets and software from the status of supplementary material. This, of course, is also done in data journals so far, where you submit the data descriptor to the journal. But here also the role of the analysis software should not be underestimated. And further, the software itself could also be a primary submission, with a user manual submitted to the journal and example data on which the software can be tried out also provided. Now, with these three entities, submission is actually then really completed with the fourth entity, which is the metadata that glues these entities together. And here, the external links from Janeway, where we have the manuscripts, to data and software repositories where the other materials are located, really become important. And that's why we're working together with the University Library to come up with a technological solution where the provenance of publications can be mapped with semantic metadata. For the moment, though, we're really just working with DOIs. And so one of the main principles then beyond that is really that we're looking to be an open access journal, and that's why we're guided from the very beginning by open access standards. And to ensure this, the journal is also self-published, so without a commercial publishers. And we're looking at organizational structures and organizational models where the journal may be owned by the editorial board itself. To summarize, the Ingrid is an open access journal, and it fosters scientific discourse and discussion on data management with the open review, and it publishes transparent publications to give scientific credit to all activities of data management. And from this conceptual level, I'll try to become a bit more concrete, since the journal is just an online, or as concrete as you can get with an online journal. But this is what a concept of the landing page of the website with featured articles. Then we have different issues. We're looking at maybe a quarterly issue, and then within those issues we have the articles themselves with their individual article page, with a download section and the links, as mentioned, to the preprints, and also article metrics, of course. And further down, of course, the comment box is really important for the discussion. And with that, actually, I would like to conclude. And I see there is already a message in the chat.
No, it's from.
But it's just for, okay. But if there is feedback, I'm really eager to hear it. And again, thank you for the opportunity of presenting here.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Kevin, and we do have time set aside for our discussion for people to ask questions about these particular topics as well. But if you want to, if somebody has something hot to ask, we don't want to stop you from asking your question either. So feel free to use the chat or raise your hand. We'll try to get to you. Okay, well, I was going to say, Kevin, just to give you something to think about, and for the discussion, I'd really like, I'm interested in talking further about the metrics that you plan to integrate into the journal. So I'd be interested in the discussion if you could elaborate a little bit on the planning for that. I think it might be something, other people might be interested in talking about.
Okay, so I think when there are no questions coming up, we will hand over to Iryna. So she will start with the first talk on the maturity model.
Yes, thank you. So I already share my screen. So I hope all will click. So thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Iryna Mozgova, and it's my pleasure today to introduce you a team of special interest group, quality assurance and metrics for fair data within NFTI Inc. Today, we want to present and discuss the concept and approach in data quality assurance and metrics for fair data in engineering. Let me introduce our SIG team. So you can see here Kevin and me. We are from Institute of Product Development, Leibniz University, Hanover. You can see also another colleague, Daniela and Sabina from University Library, RWTH Aachen University. Also Gerald and Jürgen from University and State Library, Darmstadt. And Mario and Patrick from Laboratory for Machine Tools and Production Engineering of RWTH Aachen University. So all together, we are working within Measure S1 of the consortia NFTI Inc. And I will start with this presentation. I will present our first result or work topics, and then hand over the floor to my colleagues. Oops. So, actually, the main objectives of our group are research-supported development and the exchange of various product models and services for quality assurance of engineering research data and processes. So we are open to such subject like an articulation of requirements and needs for product and service to be developed, discussion and validation of research data management quality assurance tools, methods, and results. We want to use synergies through cooperation of different archetypes within the NFTI Inc., community cluster experts, and another partner from community. And we want also ensuring connectivity to the overall national research data infrastructure. Within our group, we organize discussion and validate the method and tool we developed, including the following activities. You can see here, for example, identification of standards and archetype-specific data and data management processes, development of recommendation and practices for implementation of the maturity model. We also discuss requirements of the content for engineering-specific data management planning. We discuss collection and prioritization of software development goal for research data management organizer, representation of data and process quality metrics, and also presentation of methods for self-monitoring of data and process quality. How I already say, our special interest group team within NFTI Inc. Work in the scope of Measure S1, quality assurance and research data management processes and metrics for fair data. And we deal with following topics: development of research data management maturity models, support of data management planning with research data management organizer, fostering data management templates in engineering, and providing and utilizing fair data metrics. So let me begin this introduction of first topic. In our activity, we are developing a maturity model for research data management. What is this actually? This model is a framework for research data management processes and metrics for research data quality assurance. It's a tool for self-monitoring and control, for organizing work with research data in small projects, for example, and also in projects which consist of several sub-projects. The idea is some well-organized processes will help ensure a better outcome. as many of you probably know, we have identified 7 archetypes in our NFTI Inc. consortia. And for our maturity model for research data management, we analyze typical processes that are specific for research data activities, such as planning, reuse of existing data, data misuse protection, or publication of research results, so some basis research data management processes. But we also analyze the processes which are specific for archetypes. For example, modeling process, simulation, organization of experiments and tests, data analysis, and for each of these processes, the process maturity model level is determined. This model determined by and can be received by developing checklists, for example. So it's some tool for self-monitoring and self-control. So here you can see we are working in the scope of 4 work packages. We are working also iteratively. These packages are development of the methodology for process identification, definition of process areas and identification of common goals for each process area, identification of process areas for archetypes, and validation of the model based on the use cases. To give you a little more insight into the model, here you can see some small schematic description of the model for the maturity level of monitoring research object, just as an example. Actually, in every research, there is a very common situation, especially in collaborative project, where a prototype or research object goes through several stages of processing, and the project participants need to know where and in what state the object is, the research object is, as well as where the relevant research data for this research object. And as you can see, this model involves 5 levels of maturity, from documentation, the results of the process, for example, even on the paper, to describing the data with metadata, for example, to connecting the protocols with metadata and with original raw data, for example, to reusing the digitalized results by other researchers in the same project, in the same collaborative project, or in other researchers. This model is under development and also now under validation. So here, with pleasure, I give the virtual floor to Jürgen, and he will present the next topic.
Yeah, thank you, Iryna. Hello, everyone. I'm Jürgen Windeck. I'm working at the University and State Library here in Darmstadt. We are going to support NFTI for Inc. with the software tool RDMO. For those of you who are not familiar with RDMO, it's the Research Data Management Organizer. It's an interactive web application for data management planning, so you can create data management plans and export them for grant applications, and you can adjust the templates for your needs. It's 100% open source software. It was funded until 2020 and has by now an established user community. For those of you who want to take a closer look, please visit the website rdmorganizer.github.io for further information. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. What we're going to do in NFTI for Inc., we want to provide a DMP service for scientists of engineering by one central multi-tenant RDMO instance that we're maintaining here at the University Library. This way, researchers from all the different institutions are able to collaborate on data management planning. And we're going to provide one generic NFT for Ink tenant with generic templates, but also we offer our partner institutes to run specific tenants so that they can customize for their needs. For example, adapt the generic DMP template or the web design CSS of the website, or set common default values whatsoever. Also, of course, by supporting new clients, we will learn a lot about missing features, and we will develop new features for RDMO to support the researchers as much as possible. And this will also be a big part of our work in the project. I already mentioned the DMP templates, but this is the work that Daniela works on, so I will now hand over to Daniela.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so we are coming now to the DMP templates. Next slide, please. And yeah, one of our aims is to develop an engineering-specific guidance for DMP templates, because we know that DMP templates, there are still a really different DMP templates depending on the funder we are talking about, and the aims of the funder with the DMP template. And yeah, the engineering community is having or are taking a lot of funder programs, so we need a broad thing, and therefore we are created with others the idea on the engineering specific guidance for DMP templates. And for this, we are networking in one of the working groups here on the discipline specific guidance for DMPs. So we also, I'm one of the co-chairs of that group as well. And we developed an online survey, which is running at the moment. I will share the link later. So if you haven't joined, please participate in the survey. For next year, we were planning a discussion in workshops or interviews in engineering sites to close the knowledge gaps and to provide the engineering specific guidance. And from this guidance, we can have a look, and we will talk also with several archetypes and think about, okay, how can we revise the guidance and create then an engineering template if needed or not. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we are running the survey at the moment, and I will show you some initial results here. So one of our first questions was, how do you or the researchers you support produce or collect data for analysis? And it's really interesting that most engineers use one method or 4 methods. So these were the top ones. And then we also have the methods, and it is clearly shown that in engineering, we create data via computations, models, and simulations, as well as via lab experiments. And I was a bit surprised that also the observations were ranked really high. So more than 50% also said that they are collecting or producing data via observations. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. One other question was, do you or the researchers you support ever reuse existing data? And here I have to say that engineers do not use or reuse existing data. So most say no because of insufficient documentation. So we have to change this. One option can be the DMP and also the fair metrics, or they don't use it because of privacy or confidentiality concerns. But we have also 50%, and I think it's less because you can multiply choice answer. You can do multiple choice answers. And so they said, okay, yes, I reuse data which I created by myself or my working group. And some also use data which has been published before. Next slide. So this is one of the last initial results I will show you. We also asked, do you or the researchers you support describe data with metadata? And it's really, really great. So more than 80% know what is metadata and describe data with metadata. This is really, really great. And we also collected some examples for the metadata. So here you can only see some of the examples. So we have device settings, we have Git tags, we have hardware specification. We also have MATLAB script. I think, Iryna, when you go one slide next, it will appear. Yeah, thank you. So you see, we are still collecting and yeah, participate in the survey if you like to. And then I will hand over to Mario.
Right. Thank you, Daniela. And to pick out one aspect you mentioned is that the fairness or measuring the fairness of a data set can increase the reusability. And yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about in this part here. So our aim here is to develop fair data metrics in order to assess the performance of a given data set. And my colleague Patrick and I planned it that way that we have 4 working packages. First, to evaluate what currently KPIs do we have to measure the fairness of a data set. Then to see in the second one, which additional KPIs do we need. And of course, a validation part will be integrated there as well to have use cases and then to apply the developed KPIs to these use cases. This is about what we plan to do. And today I will give you a short insight about what we already have and where we are going to. Here you can see our current framework. You see the FAIR categories, let me call it that way, at the top in purple. And for each of these categories, we develop multiple criteria. These criteria can apply to the metadata and or respectively to the research data. For every category, we have multiple criteria, and these will be calculated together in each category in order to get a single KPI for findability, for accessible, for interoperable, and reusable. And in the ending, taking those 4 single KPIs, we will calculate one overall KPI in order to evaluate the fairness of a given data set. And to go a little bit more into detail about the criteria, here we have an overview how this criteria can look like. This overview is assembled from multiple existing frameworks, put together in order to see what is already there. And let's pick out the example at the top left. There we have a criteria applying to data as well to metadata, demanding that we have a globally unique and persistent identifier. In some frameworks, this is split up into 2 separate criteria. And here, for example, this could be into 1. And you see it can be applied on data, metadata on both, or on other. Here in this case, accessibility refers to the network protocol that is used to make this dataset accessible. So far about existing criteria we already have, and I would like to give a short outlook on the next slide, what we plan to do with this framework. First, we will consolidate and refine and define the criteria that we have mentioned here and see what is missing in general or specific for the engineering science. And I don't want to go into every next step here, just to go to the spot slide we have. At the ending, when we implement this, we not only want to measure the fairness, but also give in the implementation recommendations. So for a researcher, how can your data set be more fair? How can it be improved to make it more fair, for better findability and so on? And of course, in the validation, there we will not only, but especially focus, of course, on the NFTI for ING, the National Research Data Infrastructure from the engineering science, in order to validate with real engineering use cases our framework. So far from my side, thank you.
So thank you, Mario. Thank you, Daniela. Thank you, Jürgen. So now we want to invite you to take part in our virtual discussion. In this discussion, we invite you to discuss or offer your opinion to the following 4 questions. What actions do you take to ensure the quality of processes or data? How can the quality of the activities be measured? For example, through key performance indicators. How to map quality assurance in data management plans? And how could this be implemented in some data management plan tool? We want to work with some mirror board. We prepared to you some mirror board, and Daniela put, I think, link in the chat.
Yes, it's in the chat.
So you can go, so you can use this link. Thank you, Daniela, and try to use our mirror board. In the mirror board, we are going to work with cards. I try to visualize now what I can see here. So actually, it's our mirror board. So I see already that somebody is already active. So we are going to work with cards. You can see here 4 frames with these 4 questions. We want to work with card. Near every frame, you can see some cards. And for example, what you can do, you can make copy of one card, paste it, or use for this Control there. Control. Yes. And with double click, you can write here your text. So if you have some idea or example with best practice, or you have some idea within this 4 questions, please feel free to use card and to discuss your ideas with us. So we will not divide our small group. We have now 15 participants. So we will not divide our small group into 2 or 3 different groups. It's already actually good deal to discuss this thing together. And I think everyone needs a little bit time to write something in the card. So please feel free, write your ideas or questions. I think we need for this some minutes. And if you want already say your idea or present something in our group, please do it.
Perhaps, Iryna, if you can just refresh in people's minds the questions from your slides, since we're seeing now the mirror board, just to help people with the.
Daniela, I think I need help. I see here some message that my computer, it's not so hard. And actually, I cannot listen some questions. Maybe you can help me with moderation.
Yes, no problem. So, so we set up for questions, and the question can be found. You can find the questions directly over the boxes we created. So one question is, what action do you take to ensure the quality of processes or data? The other one is, how can the quality of the activities, yeah, thank you, of the activities be measured? In brackets, KPI, this is what we are thinking about. The third one will be, wait, I have to go to the other screen. So how could this be implemented in DMP tools, and how to map quality assurance in DMPs? Let's see. So these were the 4 questions we're still talking about, or we would like to discuss with you. So, and I see that there are still coming some ideas in the Miro board about the first question. So there's still link to RDM infrastructures, DMP templates, formats, research software, doc strings and Phoenix styles, menu, design workflows to that metadata is supplied to data upon creation. It's the organization level is addressed, so solution and general guideline or guides at first level.
So we can look also quickly what happened with another 3 questions. Till now, not a lot. So maybe all concentrate, all work hard and concentrate with first. Ah, okay, we have some comments here. So how to map quality assurance in data management plans? Classify it by FAIR, that the engineer will get a better understanding about FAIR. So if somebody want to comment his or she's card, so please welcome.
Daniela, to save enough time for discussion, maybe 5 more minutes with the Miro board.
Yeah. I see we have a question in the chat. Sorry, I haven't seen it before. So is this from a researcher project perspective or from any perspective? By this, I mean the focus of the questions. I would say it's from any perspective. So if you can say, or if you can see difference between the perspectives, please write then the perspective you mean to the card. And by this, okay, yeah.
So I see here one card with question, link to research data management infrastructures. Maybe you can make some comment who wrote this card. It's some question or it's...
that Gretchen wrote that. That's so yes, it's something we've been exploring for data management plans, is to make them beneficial to researchers. You know, we have a lot of resistance and reluctance for people. It's not so much about the actual planning aspect. It's more about what are these, what is the benefit of the data management plan? How is it going to serve the researcher? I mean, there's a lot of answers to that. But one thing that we are looking into is, in the process of creating a data management plan, can you provide access to resources, you know, that help the researcher, in addition to, you know, the output of the process, you know, is a generated data management plan, but there may be something in the process that helps you, you know, actually conduct your research data management processes. So it's just connecting data management plan generation to access, you know, or what is, you know, what resources are available. For example, storage or computational resources or tools, you know, you could link it to, you know, if it's a discipline specific data management plan, are there known ontologies or things like that to, you know, orient the user toward, you know, or question them, have you considered, you know. So it's just that idea of kind of actually being, you know, providing some direction. So anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you very much for this description. I also have a question to this card, data management plan templates, formats, also these questions. Maybe you can comment about format, about which art of format, what you mean as format.
Well, if you're creating a data management plan, what is the format of a data management plan? What is the digital representation of it?
So you mean in different digital format, or you mean how the structure of data management plan look like?
Either or.
Okay.
Are you creating a document? Are you creating, you know, what are you trying to create? What's the physical representation of it? Or
okay.
Digital?
Okay, thank you.
So the presentation of the DMP could look like as you want to. So it could be a simple Word document or a text document, if you like to. But as Jürgen also mentioned, so it could also be used in a tool. So there are several tools on the market, and RDMO is a popular example from Germany, but there are still other tools. And then you have the DMP created with this tool, and it could be exported in different formats like you want to. So like also a text file as Word or PDF, but you can also have an XML file or anything like this. Is this what you mean?
Yeah. I mean, have you come up with something that you find is useful for further use, right? Like do you see some kind of benefit to some systematic mining of DMPs?
I think there should be a systematic mining, and but I don't know yet how it could look like.
Okay, well, we're at the top of the hour, Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'll leave it to you to decide how you would like to transition from the mirror board exercise. Will this be something you can capture and share as an output of the session?
Yeah, I think we can summarize it and then yeah, share it with the participants here. There is one more question coming up for Patrick or Mario, I think. What is the timeline for identifying what is missing from the existing FAIR metrics for engineering data?
It's mentioned there at Patrick, and that's at me as well. So to be honest, I don't have the timeline in my mind. It's mentioned in the contract from the research data infrastructure, but I don't have the timeline right now here, sorry.
Thanks, Maria. This is Payne. I'm the one asked, and I'm just kind of wondering if there's a way we can reach out to you to potentially give a presentation on that once you have, tentative results from that effort.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, yes. Sorry that I can't provide you now when it will be that case, but in general, of course, yes.
Okay, what will be a good way for me to contact you? Do you have an email or something that
email,
I can
will
use?
send it you in the private chat here.
Great, thank you, appreciate it.
One other, so we are still on the point to wrap up really shortly the mirror board, but I would also like to say really quickly that we, so the ZIC we presented to you, so the working group is having a public meeting every 3 months. And our next meeting, where we will discuss on the topics and all these 3 topics, how they could go together, will be on in January. Oh, thank you very much. Yes, so we will on January the 4th. It will be on 8 a.m. UTC. I'm so sorry, it's not so US friendly time, but when we see that, yeah, there is still a lot of people interested from the US, we can also shift it. So yeah,
I think I would say we could share this out as a possible interest group information.
Yeah,
reach out to the, so we'll
definitely
circulate that with the interest group.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, this
also put in chat this link to description of our group. And actually you can find here also information about next meeting. So at least which day and which time we organize it. And you can inform you also in the future about our another activities.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is just a lot of such good work going on with this engineering, this regional engineering group. So just such a great example. I think if we can just take a pause now from the presentations and just shift to, I think we have a pretty small group here, so we can have just a nice open discussion. I think we're already kind of drifting in that direction about the presentations. And, you know, I was interested in, I think I mentioned this to Kevin, just also asking him when he talked about the grid journal work and that they're going to include the alt, I think you said alt metrics into the journal. And yeah, it's an open source journal. So I was just curious a little bit about how those metrics are being integrated in. Are you using any of the counter metrics or anything like that in the journal?
Sorry, just to clarify, you're addressing the article metrics, or how do we apply metrics to the submitted content? Which of those?
Maybe I was thinking more of the article usage metrics. If you're collecting usage metrics, download, access, and it also, since you're including like data artifacts and things like that, you know, you have various pieces going into the journal. So I was just curious how you're going to citations, obviously.
Yeah, to be honest, it's not that refined yet in that regard. But I think we would just be going with those general or usual metrics that you mentioned: downloads, views, citations. Of course, it would be quite interesting to link that as well and see how much traffic is generated on, say, the repository side that was forwarded from, say, the journal. But really, to be quite honest, I'm not 100% sure how that would work at this point, but I think it's a point that we could keep in mind and maybe even discuss with the developers of the website itself, of the Janeway software. But yes, yeah, you'd also have to contact or see where the material is hosted, then say the
Right.
the data sets on that.
Yeah.
But that's actually an interesting thought.
So we have not a lot of comments in our Mira board, but maybe we can also should discuss this card which you see here. So about second question, how can the quality of the activities be measured? For example, with key performance indicators, so we have here two opinions. That quality is subjective and dependent on the user's requirements. Yes, it's true, but sometimes we can speak also about formal quality. For example, what I mean with formal quality, if we put some information in our, for example, data management plan or some data in repository, actually we can formal check if metadata are used, for example, so some minimum description, and it's already not so really subjective, this is more formal. So quality, yes, I think the quality has two factors. First is formal factors. For example, to each data set, we can put some standard metadata, and to this standard metadata, we can put also some fields like description of metadata, description of the original data or data sets. And it's already some formal criteria without which it will be really difficult to work with some data, so we need description. And of course it's subjective, but if we are talking about some measures, for example, signal measures, you can also put some formal description like with which equipment you achieve the signal, with which frequency. So some not really standard, but full description of this data sets, and it will be already not so really subjective. So what do you think about this? So of course, it's really oft some subjective quality, because the engineering area, it's really heterogeneous. So we can receive a lot of different art of different data, different art of formats which we are used, but I think some quality criteria can be formalized.
Maybe the quality criteria must not be so strict, so we can think about maybe quality criteria which are more modular. So when I have like in the archetypes, so when we have different data sets and we say, okay, we need a data set of that and that quality, so on a different level, and then we can modular say, okay, we need different quality assurance criteria for it.
Yeah, that's an interesting subject. We have a lot of discussions on fitness for use, fitness for purpose. So for engineering science, the quality assurance criteria, does it depend on the type of application?
Sometimes, yes. So it's so I think in any research we use some standard methods for data measurement or data analyze, and we can already at least formalize some standard methods. For example, for signal analysis, exist a lot of methods, and I think for such art of data, for example, at least if I want to use some raw data from another research, at least I want to see with which equipment and with which technical characteristic another researcher collects this data or maybe analyzes data. And I think at least such part of research can be formalized.
Mm-hmm. Does uncertainty, is the information about uncertainty important for engineering science?
So yes, I think so. I think so. So because without some description, it's really difficult sometimes to work with some open data which I want to probably use, which I want to analyze within some special method. So I need, of course, description.
Yeah, because I think it's good to know that data has been gone through the procedure of data assurance, but it's also good, probably important to know information about uncertainty in order to do the downscale applications, right?
But I think we
So
have
that's,
to, yeah.
Just to wrap that up, I think I really like that you've brought up this topic of uncertainty, because I think it does really emphasize, that quality assurance is pretty broad, and that there are some aspects of quality that are more inherent to the data itself, and then other parts of the quality are more about the data management quality assurance. So there's maybe a little bit more detail we can go into that, but we're at the point in this session we were going to shift to the next topic of the discussion, which is to discuss, if we can, other regional engineering networks related to data, research data management. And if people in the group would like to share knowledge, we've seen a lot of great talks today from this NFTI for engineering, but are there other regional networks like this that you are aware of, or that you would like to share with this interest group that we can connect to?
Iryna, can you stop screen sharing, because we already have a Mentimeter for that discussion. Wait, I will share my screen. So it's the same code like before. I hope you already all left the Menti open.
Okay, I did not.
Wait,
hold on a second. I have so many screens open at this point. Oh, here we go. It's still on the quality assurance one, I think.
So, oh no. Sorry.
I think if you refresh, it should, or should it?
Wait.
There we go.
It should work now. Is it working?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So the first question Gretchen already mentioned is, in which engineering networks, collaborations are you involved with? Yes, NFTI, Perfect NIST National, RDAF, some more.
Hold on a sec.
The Design Society, yeah. VDI,
Nice.
Okay. So our next question, on which topics should the IG focus in the future work? So in our last plenary, we had different initiatives, and today we had quality assurance as a topic. We also had before data provenance. What would be ideas from you? Engineering limbs, yeah. Metadata, okay. We were still running some sessions about metadata, so our old co-chair Paula, she was organizing a webinar series, so maybe we can pick this up and see what happens in the last years. So I think it's 2 years ago, before Corona, we started with this. The DMP, yes. Anything else? Otherwise, I will come to our next and last question. So on which activities should the IG focus in the next month? Are you more interested in recurring meetings, in webinars, in a workshop on special topics, more on offline topic work, or any other ideas? Webinar, offline topic work. So webinar is the famous one at the moment. Yes, so the webinar is the winner, Gretchen and Kevin. We still get to know what we have to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, then I will hand over to Gretchen.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up. There is one special topic I was asked to share out from some people. I know I've lost some of our participants, but I'll just go ahead and put the link in here if anybody in the interest group is interested. The research data framework that's being developed, in part, it's a collaboration developed in part by NIST. I put the link. They are looking for participation of people. They have a couple use cases that they're developing. One of the pilots is in materials science, materials engineering, and they are looking for other regional engineering networks or people that are interested in getting involved with the research data framework, especially in these pilot use cases. So if you are interested in finding out more about the research data framework, I can get you in touch with the people that are coordinating this work and activity. So feel free to reach out to me. I don't know if there's any questions about that. there's a lot of really great work going on with that NF4, you know. I keep misstating the acronym, and I'm looking forward to our advisory board meeting coming up and learning more about it. But a lot of great work. It's really interesting. I really liked seeing that maturity data model too. That's something, I work at a government research institution, NIST, and I can tell you, just looking, they were looking broadly across all of the various research data, or excuse me, maturity data models, and just really struggling with, you know, what model to adopt and use. And I don't know where yours, what the genesis of your model was, if you started with something somebody else had developed or came up with it on your own, but it looked really, really interesting. So.
Yeah, thank you. So now we validate our model, but in some small group, and we receive the first result. We will adapt, of course, our model, and maybe some new version. But for validation of new version, we will invite a little bit more big community.
Yeah. Back to Kevin, that Ingrid journal, has it launched, or is there a launch date for that journal when that's going to come online?
Yeah, so technically it was supposed to have come online, but we're still implementing the design and setting up the website. We're really hoping to have it at least a website that you can visit by the end of the year, and but the editorial board will meet at the end of this month to well, officially constitute itself, and I think that's when review criteria will actually also be discussed, and I think that's where there are interesting points of contact also with these quality metrics for data, because if you want to adopt, or if you have to decide on whether to accept a submission or not, I think metrics like that are actually really important as well. But yeah, to answer your question, it's kind of half officially announced, and half of the time we're still actually working on getting everything set up and running. So
yeah, no, it should be yeah. Data review is really complicated. We've just initiated a whole new data review process at NIST, but it starts off with technical reviewers, which can be like, you know, are at the discretion of the provider submitter, and this is our internal repository. But for a journal, how do you technically review data, right? It's really complicated. So yeah, but having these fair metrics will be, you know, can be like, you know, a framework, you know, like a guidance framework for guidance in those processes. Well, I think we're almost at the end of our hour. Thank you all for your presentations, and we had a lot of competing, like some hot other competing sessions at the same time slot. But you know, every plenary has a little bit different flavor to it. So looking forward, hopefully, to meeting you all in person at one of the future RDA plenaries. I hope you continue to join this effort and share what you're working on. And
Yeah,
thank you
very much.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. And if any of you others, we're still looking for co-chairs, so get the word out. We want to kind of diversify a little bit, you know, our regional participation in the interest group, but certainly if somebody's really interested, you know, reach out to Daniela, Kevin, or myself. Okay, well, I think we're at the end, so I don't know if it kicks us out. Do you want to stop the recording, Daniela?
Yes, I can do. Okay, then, yeah, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day, your evening. So here in Germany, it is really, really late.
Okay, go have a nice dinner.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day or evening.
Okay.